Some years ago I read the Sitchin books and found them very intriguing, and then I came across an article that the Japanese think that they had discovered Planet X, and I found that very interesting, and so I revisited the Sitchin books, and the second time around some of it just doesn't make sense. And so I started looking around the internet and found a website that was fairly informative, put out by a ancient languages scholar, and he asked some very basic questions that I thought were pretty good, and they're just logical questions, like, if this society were so advanced that they could travel from one planet to another, then why is it that they needed manual labor to dig out gold? And why couldn't their chemists create a synthetic gold? So I had some questions of my own, and I emailed them to the owner of the website, and he wrote back and said he really enjoyed my questions and that I should start my own blog. And I don't really know how to do that, so what I'll do instead is just read the contents of my email, and here we go. 1. If the planet Nibiru's return causes such cataclysm on Earth, how is it that Sitchin claims the return of Niburu causes upswings in the development of civilization? 2. How is it that an advanced people from Niburu have such a low level of interpersonal relations? They're warring, frustrated, male-dominated behaviors. 3. Why is the historical record of pictures appear so primitive, like wings with feathers, when they could have left records more graphically correct? If they knew so much about the heavens, couldn't they have been more advanced pictorially? Doesn't the accounts of the Anunnaki, if they're focused on some kind of secret society and they're whispering to certain people, then what does that say about the rest of humanity? Are we just merely pawns? Are we just part of some kind of a crowd that just gets crushed at the end of the earth? I mean, what is the point? What is the meaning? Where is my relationship to the divine? Where do I figure into the whole scheme? Why would the significant story of the coming of Jesus be about the common person, the average person, versus the pharisaical lines, or the powers, the kings? Wasn't all that superseded? Why is it that the Sumerian accounts are very similar to the Old Testament ethic, the Old Testament morality, the Old Testament values? Where is the announcement of a new age? Where's the announcement of the servant king, the new type of spirituality that the Christian New Testament brings, or other forms of enlightenment? How is it that the Anunnaki behave in Old Testament male-dominated kinds of ways? They don't seem to have evolved socially. Their social systems harken back to an ancient time of slaves and whips, and if they were as evolved as we would expect them to be, why isn't there a more evolved representation of a social structure and a lack of hierarchy? Why is there such a king and a line and a battling for this? It seems that there's a scarcity mentality to these people. And yet, why is it that when I read the Sitchin accounts, I feel this sort of frustration, a scarcity, a battling, a warring. There doesn't seem to be much heightened consciousness in relation to the Anunnaki. Their behaviors and their awkward flying around and the way that things are said seems very awkward and stifled and, just unenlightened. And what about the cave art drawings? Why does Sitchin show in his book line drawings of spacecraft while the beautiful renderings are of animals? Why couldn't the artists then have made beautiful renderings of spaceships? Why only animals? Why not spaceships? Certainly they would have been interesting to draw. Sitchin states that one rotation around the sun for the planet Niburu is 3,600 of our years, and he says that therefore the Anunnaki appeared to the humans on the planet Earth to be immortal because they were living so long. The historical accounts give the impression that many of the Anunnaki stayed on the planet Earth for a number of years, and so my question is, were the Anunnaki then subject to the aging process while they were on the planet Earth? There's a YouTube video showing Sitchin explaining how he was going to have a operation, and that he had spoken with the Anunnaki powers and saying that if he were to survive the operation, then this or that would happen. And he pretty much credits the Anunnaki with saving him in this surgery. And I wondered what evidence there was in the Sumerian record of a prayer relationship that humans could have with the Anunnaki. In the books, I don't get a sense that there is this dimension, this otherworldly dimension that can interact and do feats of miracles from the Sumerian records. The Anunnaki seem very limited by the space-time reality, and they don't seem to be some kind of like spirit in the clouds looking down upon us. They, if they're up in their spaceships looking down, they're not present to be able to help people. So I don't really get the spiritual sense of who the Anunnaki are as they might relate to me. They seem more caught up in their own problems and crises, and really completely unconcerned about me unless they are out to destroy me or observe me, be impressed by me, and then send me on my way.